I really didn't want to make a part 2 on this, but I kinda have to now. Now, just a little over a month ago, I did make a video on who I personally believe would make it into Injustice 2's Fighter Pack 3. And at the time, I thought it was a very solid prediction, however there's one little thing that destroys it almost entirely. And by little, I mean that little fucker Atom making it onto Injustice 2, despite me doubting that he'll make it on there and that it was more bait than anything else. But despite that being said, I'm still happy that Atom is on there and that he actually looks fun. So in this video, I'm gonna have to take a step back and reevaluate on my predictions. Now for those who haven't seen the original video, my original prediction for Fighter Pack 3 would consist of Star Sapphire, Rorschach and Beast Boy. Seeing as how these particular characters do have a good chance in being in Fighter Pack 3. And are also highly requested characters. But since Atom was the first character to be revealed for Fighter Pack 3, it does seem like one of these characters will have to be on the chopping block. And if I really have to bet on this out of these 3 characters who I don't think will make it onto Injustice 2 whatsoever at this point, as painful as it is to say, I'm gonna have to go with Beast Boy. And yes, I do know that he was up there with Red Hood and Starfire as the most highly requested characters for DLC, but the reason why I'm starting to doubt that Beast Boy will make it onto Injustice 2 at all is really the fact that if he was to be in Injustice 2, then chances are NetherRealm would have revealed him by now. In other words, I would have thought that he would be in Fighter Pack 2. And with a character that's highly anticipated as Beast Boy, I can imagine NetherRealm saving him up for Injustice 3, in a similar vein to how they did with Red Hood. And plus there's a really interesting comment that I found on my original video in that Beast Boy would be very difficult to implement into a fighting game. That's really the problem with most shape-shifting characters. And although there could be some leeways behind this, he is not wrong in that Beast Boy's moveset would be kinda tricky to pull off. And even if they do find a way to make his moveset good, there's also this factor in actually animating his moveset and how difficult that would be to pull off. And again, I do feel like that Beast Boy would make more sense into being a playable character in Injustice 3. But like I said with the Atom, if I am to be proven wrong, then I'll be willing to eat my own words. And I'll be very glad to be proven wrong with this, because I really want Beast Boy in Injustice 2. Rorschach on the other hand, I am still holding my ground. Because like I said on the last video, the Doomsday Clock is an ongoing thing in the DC Comics, so I could imagine NetherRealm Studios into implementing Rorschach into Injustice 2. Now at the minute I'm still iffy on whether he'll make it onto Fighter Pack 3 or maybe even Fighter Pack 4, which was recently sort of announced. And that's mostly due to the latest comment by Ed Boon in relation to one of the characters who will be in Fighter Pack 3. To which I will go into in just a sec, but whether he'll make it onto Fighter Pack 3 or 4 or so on and so forth, I still believe that Rorschach is very likely to be in Injustice 2. And then as for Star Sapphire, it mostly comes down to my personal preference, but at the same time I do feel like that one of the characters in Fighter Pack 3 has to be female. Mainly given how the roster at this point does lack in females. But the reason why I say Star Sapphire is that A, she's female, B, she's a villain, and C, she's a Green Lantern representative, and there's hardly any of them in Injustice 2 so far. But there's also the possibility in that they could save her for Injustice 3, seeing as how Sinestro was in the first game and then Atrocitus was in the second game. Unless they go with Larfreeze for the third game, but who knows. And then I also believe that Mera still has a good chance in being that third character in Fighter Pack 3, given that she will make an appearance in the Justice League movie, which will come out soon. And I know that Black Manta does bend some water in some of his moves, but I feel like Mera could do so much more in that regard. And also I've heard that Mera is a very good fighter in the DC universe as well, so for these reasons I feel like Mera could still have a chance in being in Injustice 2. And for some reason people still bang on about Enchantress, and I'm sorry, but in all seriousness, I don't see it. At least with the Atom there was some cross promotion with Legends of Tomorrow, and the reason why Hellboy's even in the game in the first place is purely because his new movie is coming out sometime next year. And granted, Enchantress would be very interesting in the game, but I'm sorry, I don't see her being in there. And a few people have mentioned to me that they reckon that the female character in Fighter Pack 3 could very well be the Wonder Woman villain Circe, who from what I can understand possesses some dark arts in a similar vein to the Enchantress. And honestly, I see her making it into Injustice 2 more so than the Enchantress, Because at the end of the day, Wonder Woman is getting such a huge rise in popularity these days, so I don't see why not NetherRealm exploit that by introducing us to another Wonder Woman villain. Now onto the big hint that came out of Ed Boon himself, to which he did state that in Fighter Pack 3 there will be a major character reveal that will be the most shocking inclusion from both Injustice and Mortal Kombat. And everyone's jumping into the conclusion in that this character could very much be Spawn, seeing as how Spawn has been highly requested for both Mortal Kombat games as well as Injustice. And you know what, I can actually see this being the case, seeing as how he has been a fan favourite character for quite some time. And out of all the guest characters who should be in Injustice 2, I feel like Spawn should be it. And even still, some people are still speculating that Azrael could possibly be one of the new characters for Fighter Pack 3. To which, no. Like, please no. And if he does make it as a DLC character full stop, then fuck. But at this point, given with all the new information about Fighter Pack 3 and so on and so forth, it's really hard to pinpoint on who would make it into Fighter Pack 3 or maybe even Fighter Pack 4 and so on and so forth. But at this point, all we can really do now is wait to see what happens next, and see what the future lies for Injustice 2. So who else do you think will join Atom in Fighter Pack 3 for Injustice 2? And who do you personally hope to see as a DLC character for the future? Comment below and share some thoughts. And as always, thank you guys for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. Take care and have a good one.